we've been working for 2 years on a project called Growing Up in Nunda and Portage. And our goal in this project is to collect stories and memories, as many as we can, for our area. And it's important that we do this, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. So we have our calendar that has come out for this year. We have our Childhood Remember display, and we're doing this series of programs. We've done one on the village of Nunda, we've done one on Dalton, we're doing Hunt today, we're going to do Portland, and even though it's not on our schedule, we decided to split the two places, and that will be July 19th. That's a Sunday, and it will be 2:30. So, and then we'll also be doing Tuscarora, and one called On the Farm. Okay, memories from On the Farm. So we're going to get the people who lived in communities and the farm folks and overlaps, of course. So we're going to get started right away, and the rules are simple. We have a little show. The purpose of the show is not to tell you history. It's to get you thinking. And be willing at any time to share. Speak up if you can, because we are recording this. It's going to go into our archives, plus it will be on YouTube. You know, Hollywood might call you. It's on the line. So we'll get started. And I think you can probably see okay without the lights off, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll leave them right on. Okay, so can you move that to the, oh, that should be okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, just some background. The town of Portage, of course, became Portage away from Nunda in 1827. And at that time, Hunt was not there, as you know. Okay, Bob. Hunt's Hollow was actually probably the first major settlement in the town of Nunda. You guys were first, or your ancestors were in many cases. And you know what happened? The railroad came, and you see in this 1852 map, there is the railroad. It's not even the area yet. That's the wall map that you see right over there. When that comes, they're going to build a depot. And they build a depot, hey Clyde, they built the depot and then they came. They started to shift. Let's go to the next one. And so what happened is, this is 1902. By this time, they were starting to shift things, but the church, the Baptist church would come up. The Episcopal church wouldn't come up physically to Hunt, but they would replace it with a new church. And that's how you ended up with the Hunt as we kind of know it today. This is the 1902 map. And I think you probably see some buildings that you recognize on there. It pretty much looks the same in some ways. Now, go to the next one. That's all the history I'm going to share with you. That's it. Because what we want to do is we want to talk and get your memories. So I want you to be thinking as we go through. I'm going to show you some pictures. Some are from the Portage Town historians. Some are from the Clancy family. Some are from our collection. And hopefully it's going to stir up things like, what was your earliest memory growing up? Who were your neighbors? What businesses, stores, what were they? Organizations. What did you do for fun? Okay? Seasons, the church, the schools, favorite local places, community events, all these things that I hope will trigger you as we see these pictures. Okay.
Now Hunt was Washington Hunt was the governor. That's where Hunt became Hunt.
That's right. And that's Hunt's Hollow, was the whole Hunt family. and Washington Hunt. In fact, we have a picture that will show when the station said Washington Hunts. We're going to show this later on. That's exactly right. Okay, do you see some buildings there? Can you see that all right? Would you like to get the lights?
It might help, I think, Tom.
Okay, let's see. All right. Do you see some interesting, can you give a date to this? For instance, what's this over here? Is that the town buildings?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So when were those built, would you say?
60-something
60s?
was when they did to make it that big.
Okay.
There was a little shack before that.
Okay, so this is from the 60s. Do you see other things you recognize that may or may not be there now?
The Grange.
Is this it?
Yeah.
Our house and barn.
And that's up in here?
Or Art Hagen.
Kitty corner across from the shed. It's a big house.
Oh, we're going to have a picture of that house later on. Okay. All right. And, well, we'll be picking up some more things here as we go. Let's go ahead. Okay, this is before your time, but what do you see that you recognize and remember in here?
A store.
Who owned the store when you remember?
Jim.
What was in the general store?
Yeah, general store.
Who remembers going in there when you were little?
Candies.
Describe it. What would you remember about that
The
store?
candy.
Was it penny
Those
candy?
glass cakes, you know, yeah, glass cakes that had candy. You could get candy for a nickel or candy bar for a nickel or a dime.
Yeah. You could also buy ice cream. You could buy notebooks for school, pencils. There was a meat counter in the back where they would meat. And I think they sold cigarettes and
Katie Barnes would dip ice cream, and it was, I don't know, 5 cents a scoop. It was pretty reasonable. But if you wanted 2 different kinds of ice cream, there was an extra charge. Yeah. So Butch Dewar, anybody remember Butch? Butch went into the store one day. He wanted 1 dip of chocolate and 1 dip of vanilla. And Katie says, "Oh, that's going to be 15 cents. It wasn't 10. Butch said, "That's fine." And she handed him she handed him 2 cones. That's right. He said he wanted 1 each. She handed him 2 cones, and you know what he did. He took the one upside down, put the 1 scoop on top of the other, threw the cone away, and walked out. He got it for 10 cents, and boy, was she mad.
Other memories of the store?
We have a short story.
Sure.
Back in '67, Tom and I got married, and we had a horning party shortly after we got home from our honeymoon. And Howard opened the store so they could get some goodies, though we had snacks too.
Oh, okay. And could you explain the horning party? Because the younger folks who see this may not know what that is.
It's when they all get together and come in front of your house and start tooting their horns until you come out and invite them. And they raided our bedroom and threw our personal items out on the bushes. And one of the guys who didn't know where we lived stopped right in front of our house to check his hookah horn. So we were forewarned.
A horn party at my sister's place, and they had company. And Ron Patrick had an air horn that come off a piece of the train.
Oh.
And he snuck up to the window and he turned the thing on, air horn. And he turned it on and it was loud.
Well, I think we're covering what people did for fun in Hines. Let's go to the next one. Okay, see any buildings and places you remember? Now this is a different store, isn't it?
That was the post office at Dewar's. What's yours?
Okay.
Wasn't a store, but turned into a post office later.
This one?
Lisa.
Okay. Do you know who lived in are these houses, were they when you were growing up?
It was Timothy next to that one, and then, Vicky and Howard Barnes lived across the street from the store, and the third one you see.
Okay.
And then when you were across the creek.
Mhm.
You can't see it, so
So, you see us, but we were down the little grade, and there was a creek that ran between places.
Are we looking east or west here? We're looking west.
Now the Memorial Hall is on this side, right?
It was probably about, no, it was, yeah, because it was a kitty corner across from our house. So we just,
This is probably 1915, 1920, someplace in there. Yeah. Next.
that would have been Shorten's store.
Do you remember this, George?
I don't remember the Shorten's, but my mother worked there when she was a young girl.
That was
So she,
the street.
yes, I was across the street from her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Roberta, who ended up working at the high school, right? Roberta Rover. Thank you, Alice. Yeah. So, do you know about when they were on there? When this picture would have been? Is this one of your pictures?
Probably because I had that picture. So I probably brought it in. But this would have been, see, my mother was born in 1917, and she was probably in the early 20s, maybe.
Don't you love these?
Well, about 19.
Down to the gas pumps, great.
Yeah.
And imagine that, what was it probably then, 17 cents? Yeah, okay, let's go. Does anybody remember Bregman? Is
across the road from, it used to set.
this building still there?
Clyde, that's on Clyde's property, that probably.
Oh, Clyde, that's your
It used to be across the road from my house.
Oh, okay,
It was a Redmond
Oh, the
blacksmith shop. And then they
okay.
turned it into an auto, you know, he did a repair, oil changes after that.
Where does it sit on the corner?
empty lot, right?
Oh, the empty lot. Where that bush was this morning.
It was, what was in that spot when you remember? At this, me? Anybody?
Empty garage.
Empty garage?
Yeah, just a building. It was when Charles Mellenbecker lived across the street where Clyde is now.
Okay.
Across Main Street.
Yeah, across Main Street.
What was this house here?
What's that building? That was,
What's your name?
Wayne's Holly.
Always listened on the
The
phone.
hotel?
No,
Yeah.
yeah, I
It
can't.
was her.
Mrs. Holly.
Mrs. Holly? Right there?
She was, Fred's mother.
Okay, let's go to the next one. This is one of yours. The fancy picture. Do you know who the little kid is there?
The garage won't go.
Take credit for it?
I know, I can't.
That's great.
So this was that store we saw before? With those shorts on it?
Doors.
Then it was the post office later on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that building right there with that, looks like a gas pump in front. My father bought that in the 70s. Dad did, Piper.
Who did you buy it from?
Oh, they lived in the old hotel across the road. The Hagen.
Now, there's still a Gahagan there. Is Helen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, so that's across from the Memorial Home, right?
Well, it's
On the other side. Okay, let's see what else we have. I'm going to use this one, not only, this is one of yours too. Now, evidently you had races on your sidewalk. Okay. But even if we don't know any of these children, what did you do for fun when you were little and hung? Somebody raise your hand and tell the story.
We used to make those carts like that to go down Hunt's Hill.
Where's Hunts Hill?
Going from Hunt back down the 70.
Oh, okay. Down in the hill.
Unfortunately.
Just once.
Okay, what else? What else did you do?
And we roller skated down the street
Roller skated?
because the sidewalks weren't very good.
So they probably paved the streets in the 20s or 30s. It was paved by the time you remember, right?
One time when I was a kid, I think Perry's lived down there in the house. Les Perry or the boys, Alfred and Donnie. And we had these little cars that we made go down the hill. And one summer, Alfred Perry talked me into pretending we had a wreck in the ditch going down the hill. We'd throw the carts over on the ditch and we'd lay there on some. Well, when he was laying there, well, Mrs. Holly, she was a school teacher, she stopped. And she wanted to know if he was all right, and I got up and says, you know, I'm okay, there's no... Well, Alfred wouldn't wake up or do anything, he kept laying there, and I knew it was all right. And she picked him up, put him in her car, and she goes, I gotta take him down. No, just take him home. I know he's all right.
Alfred was never all right.
But she carried him from your car right into the house and everything, and laid him on the couch, and I said, well, Alfred's mom will be home just in a little bit. She goes, she'll be back. She goes, you sure he's all right? Yeah, he's all right. Well, as soon as she left, he got up off the couch, because I didn't have to even walk in the house.
Real type lawnmowers up on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, isn't that neat? The lawnmower's on the porch. Yeah. What other, did you have kids around that you played, was there a place you played baseball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the house.
There's the lot behind the shop that my great uncle Milton had for sharpening knives and I don't know what they all they did, but he also made knives, and there was a vacant lot behind that, and we played softball back in there.
Okay.
And so it went right up to the back street over. So
What else did you do?
Craig Mulligan ought to be here.
What did he do?
But his father owned the store for a while. He's got a good one.
All right, let's go to the next one. Now, one of the things that's interesting, I think those are the trains to the right.
Yeah, the train.
Okay. What do you remember of the railroad and the trains? So what do you remember of the trains?
We used to walk out back of the house, go across the fields, and get over to on the other side of the tracks because there was a little pond over there that had fish in it. And Mom told us to never go over there, and we pretty much went there every day in the summer because she didn't know where we were ever. We were just always running around there. But yeah, there was bums out there. They had couches and stuff down in there. You must have seen that, Kenny. You were out there
It
too.
was different. I remember one time walking on we were fishing, walking on, of course there were two rails then.
Yeah.
The train was going by this way and we was walking the other way toward Dalton. And geez, it was loud and we were standing in between the rail and the other tracks. We were down through there and all of a sudden we hear this whistle and we turned around, well there was a train right behind us. Off the Dalton, jumping over.
Yeah, it was rough when you jumped down in the
Now, by the time that you remember, was the station, did they still stop at the station? Or was there a station? When did that come down? Before your time?
I don't remember a station.
That's
Back in 19, I think it was 67, 68. The train was coming across the High Bridge. Well, somehow it got derailed a little bit. One, whatever they are, trolleys. And when it got to the Y between our farm and Kermit's, they went to go and they got tangled up in the switch and they dumped them 27 cars in the cow pasture. Well, they had the railroad police there and everything, and we went down after, it was about 4:30 in the morning. We went down afterwards, we heard a big commotion, and there's a whole bunch of people there that heard this knock on this one car. Well, the railroad police went over and they opened it up, and there was a black guy in there, and it was a load of loose flour. And he had an afro. And he come out of there, and the only thing you could see was his eyeballs. And I was probably 14, something like that, 15. And I looked and I go, holy cats, is this something? But they arrested him because he was not supposed to have been in there. But it's wonder didn't kill him. He come crawling out from under that flour, it was something.
Yeah.
Well, on the railroad on Pennycook Road where Bertie Cartwright used to live, they had a John Deere dealership. And every once in a while, Bertie would grease the tracks. So after they crossed the High Bridge, they had to go slow, so they're trying to build up a head of steam. Well, Bertie, he'd go grease the tracks, and it's a little bit of an incline there, and the engine would hit those tracks and break loose.
Now, one thing that we should remember too is that when you grew up, did your parents and grandparents live in that area? If they did, don't hesitate to share some stories that you heard from them about these places too. We can go back a couple generations now. So let's go to the next one. Tell me about the churches. What do you remember about the two churches up there?
My daddy was the preacher in the Baptist church. And when he took the job and we came up here, the Baptist church building was about 2 feet of ashes in the foundation. And my dad ended up hiring a contractor, and we built the church as pretty much as it stands there right now. And I was the official mud mixer. I spent every day all summer on a cement mixer, and it was great fun.
Now this is the old one, right?
Yeah, that's the
It
old
is the
one. That's not the one he's
Did you stay in the parsonage?
We lived in the parsonage. My bedroom was the upper right window behind the tree. Yeah.
My parents were married in that church.
In the old one?
In the old
one? The church.
We were married in the new one.
Yeah.
What about the Episcopal church? Anybody remember anything?
It was closed by the
Yeah.
time I got it.
Yeah. It just stood there when we were.
Keep building.
Now, none of you kids ever went into the empty building?
I did.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
Like they're putting up hay, loose hay.
That's
Yeah,
my
that's-
pictures.
Looks like-
That's the way her church, the church was decorated for their wedding.
Oh, okay, so this is the Baptist church.
Yeah, that's peonies.
Yeah, that's your picture.
Yeah, that was our picture.
Isn't that something? Is that, what time of year were they married?
In June,
June?
June 15th.
What? Are these just decorations?
They're just ribbons, I think, hanging on where people were supposed to sit. Where the seating. Yeah, it was just full of flowers. I don't know how they, and it was all of that, big baskets of mostly peonies,
What year would this been in?
1941.
Okay, I think we got that picture in here too.
Yeah.
Would the birds been doing flowers then and all the bird seeds?
It's possible, but I don't know if they had.
They could have gotten some from the Gelser brothers. They were growing some.
I was gonna say, up in Dalton, wasn't there a big field full of trees?
Yeah.
Used to give for Dalton to put during graduation to put them on the stage and
I
stuff.
just don't think they're.
And they were shipping flowers to New York City and stuff. That's a lot of flowers. Okay, let's go to the next. I put this one in, it's from the paper, and newspaper in 1969. Do you know some of these folks?
Yeah.
What do you remember about them? And call out which one you're talking about.
Thompson's.
Okay, there's two Thompson, oh, there's gotta be more than that. There's at least four in there.
Yeah, Denise and Anthony.
The ball's in the middle.
Can everybody see the caption back there?
What the names are?
Yeah, where the names are.
I
It's Richard Ramsey
Christine Ramsey.
and I kept Floyd.
Do you remember the Awana Club? Were any people in here part of that?
Most of them.
What was that about?
Awana, it was a Christian organization where kids came and learned the scriptures and then had a game time. It was a fun evening and a very, very productive program in the church. Yeah.
Were there other organizations like that
Yes.
in Hunt?
And Hunt?
In that area? For Hunt kids?
Awana is a national organization,
Okay.
so I think other small towns around did that, yes.
Okay, were there other, if you didn't belong to Awana, was there other places that you could go like that
They had
to
the
scouting?
they had the range for the youth,
That's right.
and it was quite an organization.
Okay, and the Grange Hall, that we talked about.
It's not there anymore. And the post office is where it belongs.
Okay, was that the Hunt Grange, or did it have another name? Hunt Grange.
There was a 4-H homemakers of Hunt for the girls. Yeah, and my mother and Colleen Downs' mom and Stemper, I haven't seen Stemper's there, but it was always done only in the individual homes. Somebody sewed and somebody baked and somebody tends to cook.
If you belonged to, were any of you scouts, Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts? What troop did you belong to?
I don't know, I don't remember what troop.
Did you go down to Hyundai or?
We had Cub Scouts, which was Libby's mom. It was Debbie. Oh,
We like that because those boys are they had
And then-
sisters.
she gave it up and then we went to Jean Thompson, I believe.
Little Jean.
His mother was a Cub Scout leader as well.
Yes. And
And
went to Dave.
so,
Do you have that picture? Do they have that picture?
I don't think so, but there's a picture of Keith Nonbecker and David's brother John and my brother Elmer, I think,
Yeah.
and one other
One
kid. And she'd all dressed up, she always got, her Sunday school teaching right into the Cub Scouts. They were all dressed up like shepherds at Christmas time and sitting around a table. I mean, they were just sitting there. It's just so funny little picture.
That was a nativity.
Yeah, it was a nativity scene, but just one with just shepherds.
Joyce Gross had a Cub Scout troop also, down on Joyce Gross, Joyce and
Okay.
Nancy Gross. Joyce had a Cub Scout program, but it wasn't in the town.
I think that's.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
There's,
Yeah.
that's your, that's the,
That's my parents. Oh my gosh. Because you were my teacher, you guys moved to away. Yeah, also.
Are you storytelling? You got
He used to teach me piano lessons and they moved away and I just told her, last time I saw her, she was nursing a baby. But there's no and Joe, yeah, it was a long night, so I had to quit my
Can you quickly identify the people left to right on this arrow?
Yeah, that, I don't know exactly who they were, all of them, but, was my mother, dad, and then it was my, me, Keglin, and his wife, she wasn't married, they weren't married yet. But that was my aunt, Rosamond. Yeah, Mead and Rosamond. And that, she was Rosamond Clancy at that time, it was my father's sister, her stepsister. And then, I think that the person on the end, those kids, I don't really know the kids because I wasn't around yet. But they look like, when he married, it looks like when he married, you were the one. But I really don't know about the children, the kids. And some of the older people, if they showed up, I could maybe tell you about them.
When he could have been, couldn't she?
Let me ask you this.
He could have been, he looks like it.
It does look like her.
A question for you. School, of course, by this time, the one-room schools were closed, that you remember, you always went to a central school, right? Now, you went to Dalton Central School or Nunda Central School, or just Dalton?
No.
But
As in elementary, you started at Dalton
Yes.
through ninth grade.
actually, David and I moved from different places. I moved from southern Ohio to New Jersey about the same year. A little earlier than I did.
Okay.
And so I had been down there before because we visited my great aunt over there. But we didn't move there until I was 11.
Oh.
So, yeah.
How did you get to school? Bus comes through us. Who drove your bus?
The bus driver.
Yeah.
I Camp and Dean Millenbacker
In Byron Thompson.
and Byron Thompson.
The Baker twins, brothers, yeah, the Baker twins, they were Byron.
Ronnie, you had a lot of different bus drivers.
Yeah, Roddy and them.
Not very born
Where was, at one time, Hunt must have had a one-room schoolhouse. Where was that?
Probably.
Oh, there were several out, Pennycook and things like
There's
that.
a
right?
doctor up Valley View
Yeah.
and
Okay.
Track Road.
But there wasn't one in there that handled selling.
The book, the town of Portage, I got it from my mother, it was their sesquicentennial or something, I think 77. And it showed a lot of the old schoolhouses, the one-room schoolhouses, and my mother had pointed out one she went to,
Okay.
so.
Was there one on Main Street, Hunt, though, down closer to the Howell? There used to be a plaque that said that it was,
One down by the Howell,
yeah.
where the Washington Hunt went to school or something like that. I think there was
I
one.
think there was one above, it just was above Dalton too.
There was.
Okay, next. That's another one of yours, Sarah. Before you say that, does everybody recognize where it is?
No.
Vera, can you explain? Now, here's the main road, right?
Right, but the building that you see is not there anymore.
Okay, and this
Straight across.
this is this side is the Memorial. I always basing on Memorial Hall. This side of the road is Memorial Hall.
No.
Don't
This
on the other
one-
side.
Those children are in our driveway. That's our yard, and then directly,
Which way would you go if you went out this driveway to go down to the Hunt store?
I turned left.
Yeah.
To the left?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was no building at all, and then there was the shop, right? Yeah.
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 Who are those kids, Vera?
That's there in that little.
No, I think that was probably my oldest brother Eugene. And my great aunt kept her granddaughter, was Sylvia.
Oh my gosh.
And she kept her granddaughter while her father, her granddaughter's father was in the service.
Wow.
So she had her for like 5 years. And my brother Eugene was actually born in my day. And so they lived there, my father and mother lived there for a while until he went on to Michigan in his work. So that was my brother Eugene.
But the building was gone, that building was gone that you see there.
Although I did have
Okay.
relatives who lived there.
What was that building?
It was a post office, and then it had above it was an apartment. As far as I remember.
Wasn't that Charlie Hewitt's homestead?
It might have been, yeah, it might have been.
That's where,
Oh, that's right.
that's where he used to park his automobile.
Yeah.
On the overhang. And then next to that was the night shop and the post office and the night shop.
Yeah.
There's 3 buildings right there in the road, and then you had the store.
Okay. This is a good one to ask this question. Sometime that building must have been torn down. There could have been a fire in the area. There could have been, we were talking about the train wreck that Ivan mentioned over by his farm. What other events like that, which to a kid would be like pretty exciting, a disaster, do you remember anything when something like that happened in Hunt?
They used to have parades going through the town.
Okay.
Like, Dalton had the parade.
Oh, for Memorial Day.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
They gave away free pop.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And
Oh,
they
yeah.
always had that cannon.
Yeah.
And the game.
Free
Pop.
pop.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
What?
those of us in band marched in Hunt, and then they had a time to march in Dalton, and then you had a time to march in Nunda, and each village you got pops, so.
So they went from the cemetery up to the store, which wasn't really long.
Yeah, I think probably, yeah.
That was, we needed something to thrill.
Yeah.
What other community events like that?
Katie and Howard's house caught fire one night. And this was back in the days when Hunt still had the crank telephone. And there was an operator in Dalton who could do something that notified all of us that there was a problem. And she told us that Katie and Howard's house was on fire. And we immediately formed a bucket brigade from the creek up to the house, just passing the buckets of water up and fighting the fire until the fire department got there.
Now, the fire department would have been nowadays.
Yeah, so it took a while.
Oh, neat.
Did the house burn down?
No, they saved it. It was just one room, really, that was, Howard spilled some gasoline, and then somehow it caught fire. And somebody had talked about pop, but Katie and Howard gave us all free pop after that.
They never lived there after that, did they? They lived up overhead.
For a while, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, what else did the community do something at the Memorial Hall? Was that ever something there'd be something going on there?
Back then, it was to do with the military.
Pardon?
It was the military, not the Memorial Hall at that.
Okay, it was the VFW or
Yes.
something like that. Somebody said dances.
There was a dance in there. I remember dancing with somebody.
charge of putting the flag up properly at the memorial lawn. And my oldest brother did it for a while. I think it got passed down. I don't know if Clyde ever did it or not. Did you?
No, not me.
No. I guess probably Harold was the last one that did it, but I had 5 on the so they took it very seriously too. Yeah, once my brother Gene, it was like on a Saturday or something, and George Barrett was walking down the street, and Gene was just getting around to hang up the flag. And he says, kind of late to be doing that, isn't it? Because he was a veteran. And so, he was criticized for, not being right on the ball, because that's supposed to be on the, and it was taken down if it rained, or anything like that, and it's not a weather. And
I think they got paid $5 a week.
yeah.
To do that?
Pretty good on it.
Oh, well, that brings us to something else. What were your first jobs when you were growing up that you got paid for?
Babysitting.
Babysitting?
We picked berries for Sharamzigs and also Gibsons. My brother Cecil and I would
In that area?
push our bikes up the hill and go and pick strawberries for, I think we got 10 cents a quart for that. And we got so that we could make $1 an hour. We got really good. And then we'd ride our bikes down the hill for lunch. And hopefully we didn't have to go back. I hope it's not. But got there. But Sharamzigs, we went, and I just remember this because it was so great. We would pick all kinds of berries, raspberries and blackberries, but they were the prickly kind, and you were out there in your hot shirt pants and stuff. And I just remember, I don't think that Mrs. Ramsey wanted us to go home because she would say, okay, come in and I'll give you lunch. And we had this big ice cold glass of milk. And she made us a fried egg sandwich with a pickle. And I just think that tasted so good. We didn't go all the way to the back to Pennyberry House. And I don't remember how much we made, but it was so cool.
Okay, you did babysitting and picking berries. What else were your first? The farm kids. You were.
I worked farm. Actually, your brothers worked for my dad and I.
Okay.
Okay.
I worked for Kermit Perry and her brothers worked for Davis. And I would see them go by on a tractor or something. Cecil was painting the barn, and he had the ladder set up in the pasture painting the barn. And I looked over just in time to see a cow starting to nuzzle the ladder. And I thought maybe he ought to come down. But
Well, I know Elmer was our paper boy for years, so Elmer worked as a paper boy. He made money that way. I had piano lessons from David, so he was making money off of me. And I'd been sold rabbits. He bought those. And I babysat next to that railroad track that was really loud. And then school.
We were farm boys, so we ended up doing a lot of farm work. My dad was a businessman too, and he sold Ferguson tractors.
oh,
And there's one tractor that I know of that's still in use.
That your father sold?
My father sold them.
Bill Boyer has got the one his dad bought, and he's restored it, and I run it,
Really?
and it's really good shape.
Yep. That's nice.
Yep. It's just,
What'd you do for doctors?
we never got sick.
Yeah.
You had to go to film.
Well, we were Dr. Rose, but because our great aunts lived with us, we had one great aunt that was visited by Dr. Rose.
Oh,
Yeah, and he had these little black tablets
Flash tablets?
that would cure anything. And Say something?
You don't ask.
Okay.
So we visited my great aunt, and she had arthritis really bad. And so, and my mother kind of took care of her and everything, so he would come with his bag, and then she would say, well, you know, one of the kids is, what should I do? And he'd say, oh, here, give him a half of or a quarter of a black tablet. And I'll be okay.
But then he was a rough old bird. I stepped on a spike and run it right straight through my shoe. Ma took me up to Doc Gross and he took this thing, it was about that long, like a pipe cleaner, soaked it in rubbing alcohol and run that up through that. And if you don't think I bellered to live here.
Wow.
But they just stuck her up and brought her back.
Was there some old timers in your time, old timers who you could go to who knew the cures, the home remedies, sort of like the, what do they call those, midwives type of person?
Witch doctors.
But were there old people? Now, when you were growing up, there were still people who remembered back into the early 19th century.
My great aunt had actually gone to Michigan. Her parents had bought land out there and everything. So she had that knowledge that she had learned out there, and as well as my great aunt Florence, who lived across the street and whose husband did the knives and things. They always had a remedy for everything, and it was just natural things. And I found papers that have old remedies on them that were in my great aunt's things. So, yeah, they actually did have remedies for just about everything that had been handed down. So, from the homesteading on down from Michigan and everything. So,
Were there others that other people knew of? Were there other? Pardon?
My mother had a lot of old crap in the cupboard. And some of it, actually, you get a sliver. And she had this pine pitch that she took off the trees, and I don't know, she did something with it. And you put that on there, next morning, usually that would fester right out of there.
Drawing said.
Drawings, yeah, draw it right out of there. And then she had other stuff, but take a chunk of salt for a sore throat. You know, she just had all kinds of stuff she had in there. I didn't pay a lot of attention to it, but she had a bunch of it.
Big thiamol. Anybody else have big thiamol salve? Black salve?
Yeah.
That's what
I think of it.
Big thiamol, yeah.
Who were the old timers in town that you remember? The oldest people, because when you're a kid, everybody looks old. But who were the ones that really stand out as, wow, that person's old?
Mrs. Holly.
Mrs. Holly.
Mrs. Holly, how old was she?
I know, 40.
Fred's mother, and but she did everything. She walked down to the store with a market basket every day for her food, and walked back, and she mowed her lawn with her. She had to be 80 maybe, 80 something.
And she was our age, you know.
Probably. And I don't really know, but how old she was. But she did look into jealous of them. But she would do a lot of things for.
How many remember her? There's the station.
There's the station. Oh,
Isn't it a wonderful picture?
Yeah.
that's a great picture.
I had a picture of that with my grandfather standing there with a bushel of potatoes, and he was sending them, according to my dad, sending them to New York. They put the potatoes on the train and sent them in. How they got paid, I don't know, but
I think I've seen one with some people with something, maybe it's that one. Now that's the store, right? Memorial Hall, that's Cahagan's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
This is the Granger, this,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you see, is there anything left of where the station was? Can you tell where it is?
Just kind of an empty spot.
Yeah. You couldn't, when you were kids, you couldn't tell where the station was?
No, we didn't, I never there when we were kids. But I do know that it was important for the mail to go out there, because when
Oh,
my,
Tom?
I remember they used to have a mail pickup on the railroad. There used to be another station, not a station, but a place where the person would stand out beside the railroad track and the mail would come along and they'd pick it up.
They picked the bag off of the pole.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was one up in Dalton, and somebody in the Dalton people said that one time they missed it and the mail was.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I don't know where the Washington Hunt reference came from.
Washington Hunt was a governor of New York State around 1850, and he was of the Sanford Hunts, one of his sons. And so Washington Hunt, and if Bill Burr knows the whole story behind why for a while it was Washington Hunt. And it has something to do with, of course, with the railroad. And his brother, this isn't why it's there, because he was governor, that's why that's there. His brother was Edward Hunt. He died in a submarine in the Civil War. He was in the U.S. Navy, and they were testing a submarine, and he died. Edward Hunt, who grew up in Hunts Hollow.
Tom, what is the date of that picture?
I think this is in the 20s. There is a car back here. Next one.
There we go.
How many remember this building? Because this wasn't that long ago when it was down, right?
it just was torn down.
We had a fight one night. And I decided I needed to go and make up. That's Terry's house, everybody.
Oh.
And I went down to the house with my tail between my legs. And then her great aunt, Dee, met me and said, "She's waiting for you at the top of the steps."
This one right here?
Yeah, so I went up the steps and we made up.
No, she didn't want us to have any problems at all. She wanted,
Oh, that's nice. What do you know about that house before you were there?
not a whole lot, which,
It was apartments.
yeah,
There were
it was.
at least 3 units.
Yeah, and I know that when we came to visit, when we were kids from Ohio, it was my 2 great aunts lived there. But they rented rooms to other people. I know there were some people in,
And your aunt's names were?
Roselta Aldrich and my great aunt, Edna. Edna, no, Edna Stilson Hewitt.
So where is this house?
It's,
In the corner across from the Memorial Hall.
There was a big yellow house.
yeah.
They tore down.
Yeah.
Last year. Yeah, that's, this is coming here. Did you ever get that?
Yeah, and, yeah, and we did,
The top of the property.
my dad always had
It looks a lot, it's a lot, green and red.
So we did have cows, and he kept them there, but he rented pasture for them, because we're sometimes, because there wasn't a lot of space there, but that, we talked about bumps on the railroad, and under the hayloft stairs was an opening to the outside, and they used to come in off the railroad and sleep there overnight, and then they would go to great aunts, and my great aunt also took care of her mother who lived in that house at some point. And so they would feed them and they'd do work for the money, or for the food, and then they'd go on their way.
You can kind of see the barns and the trees
Yeah.
that she's talking about. And in the back of that barn, there was this opening under the stairs. It was the coolest thing. I loved it.
You know,
Yeah,
Vera's dad always come up and bought a cat food from us. And he was probably one of the nicest guys that you could ever ask for. And my dad and him, they get to talk and they might be there for 2-3 hours. And I'll never forget, we had this little Angus cat and Bill wanted it. And he's chasing her around trying to get it in the bag. And Dad says, "You got her, Bill?" "Yeah, if I get my nose out of his rear end, I think I can get him in the bag." And I never forgot that. That was funny.
Now, all of you, one of the things that you should do if you lived in or around Hunt is, whether your house that you grew up in is there or not, you should try to record everything that you can remember about it, including floor plans. You'd be surprised how many times people come and say to us, "What do you know about that house or that house?" And, well, we might be able to find something on the deed, but we don't have the real house history.
well, there were several families that lived there.
We don't know.
Yeah, I didn't remember who they were because I was little and they didn't rent my rooms after we came back.
One was Mike and Ed James. Her family needed.
I'm sorry, Bob, do you remember?
Yeah, it was Mike and Ed James.
Mike and Ed, yeah, that's right, too. Were the last ones I remember. And I think I had several pictures of me with, well, I have one of me with a little girl, a tiny little girl in a bathtub, being cool, keeping cool. We were bathing suits. We're just sitting out in the back, you know. And, but there were like 3 sinks with pumps. And we had, so there were 3 actual apartments there. And then they had the back stairs and the front stairs. And so whoever had this side of the house, like we used that side of the house when we moved in, and actually we used all of it. But and my great aunt Delbert had a room on her own. If you notice, there are lots of porches, but there's one over to the left of the big front porch, and there were doors everywhere. There was 2 doors going in on the front porch, and then there was a separate 2 parlors, and the back parlor had its own door, and so my Aunt Dolly, when she had visitors, she could have them come out in that door and visit, and without anybody being disturbed by her company, or they can be private and whatever they wanted. So it was very handy for a big family.
Yeah, well, that's the type of thing. If you write down anything that you remember about your house, we do have forms, little forms about sharing and memory with us that you can pick up. But you can do this any way that you want. In fact, if you have stories you like to tell, let us know. We'll come down and we'll tape you or record you or whatever you wanted to do. There was something else that you said. Oh, photos. If you have family photos, and especially ones that show the interior of your house, or kids playing in the yard, that shows your life growing up, we would love digital copies. If you make arrangements, you can come here, we'll scan. We've done that before. We'll scan them so they become documents, because we have wonderful photographs, but many of them are more formal, or no one thought of taking a picture in their living room of the family. You might get a Thanksgiving dinner, but you don't have an evening at home.
No.
And so we're looking for that thing. So let's go to the next one, Sal. Okay, now this is just an old time one. You'll see this, many of the buildings like that store that you've talked about. So your house, that big house would have been over in there. Okay. Next one.
Or Cannon, yeah.
Oh, go back a minute.
That's what that there.
Cannon, that's in front of the memorial.
Yeah.
That was,
That's the, I think you got yours at the same time we got the one in Oakwood Cemetery. So it's been there for a while.
1880, they finished,
18.
they finished the hall in 1880.
Yeah, and I think that the cannons might have come as late as 1897, because that's when ours came down on there.
What's that really tall pole? Oh, it would be another one of the telephone poles.
Yeah, oh, that was the other thing. Were there people in Hunt when you were growing up? You guys must have all had a well, right?
Yep.
And septic system. You didn't know any old folks that still were pumping water or using an outhouse?
Oh, yeah, we moved in, when we moved in, that's what we had. My oldest brother said, yeah, we have running water and I do the running. So they had, you would carry it in and they had a bucket on the stand and timber. And if you wanted to drink outside, you had to pump it into the tin cup out there. But, no, we got around and got a bathroom and everything, but.
Did you all have telephones when you grew up?
So your house in a short.
Yeah. Short, and then it's for the short, long, short, long.
It was 41919.
And they were party lines, you could listen to people.
Bill?
I wonder if that was the mail carrier up to Boots.
It could have been.
Would have been my great-grandfather, Jason Hewitt.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, that would have been.
yeah. We have a wonderful picture of him. It could be. It certainly could be.
That was probably Jason.
I'll tell you about the telephone. One time, a lady over to Dalton, they had the little place where they called out. And she called over to ask my mother, we had just got a new bathroom. Got rid of the outhouse. So she called over to want to talk to my mother because she wanted eggs, because my mother raised chickens and had eggs. And I said, well, she's sitting on her brand new toilet. Here I was, 5 or 6 years old. Talk about mad. She was mad. But I always remember that. She didn't really give a hell about that.
Everybody heard it too on the
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was Kelly that had the telephone.
What's that?
For sure.
Yeah. And that was a, what, party link?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Let's go to the next one. Okay, that's down at that house across. That's the one building everybody remembers. There's a barn back there.
And when that was taken, Florence and Milton Hughes, which actually lived in that house.
This house.
Yes. And the other place was still his shop, but they didn't have health insurance in those days, and they both got sick. And I think Milton got appendicitis or something, and so they had to pay a lot of big bills, and they lost their house. But my great aunt fixed over the shop at the front of it for them to have a home, and he still used the back of the shop to do his nice. So they did have a place to go, but you know that was the hard times back then, and that's just what happened. And they had a very nice home back there with a nice barn. It was, you know, and Aunt Florence came across the street every day for coffee, every morning. And
I don't know what year that would be in there. This is interesting. There was quite a sidewalk system at one time.
Yeah.
And I wonder what that sign said. It's not a stop sign. Yield, children's playing. Welcome to Hunt. And let me ask you, I've wondered this for 50 years. Do you prefer hunt or hunts or either?
Hunt.
Hunt.
Because, especially in Hunt's Tower.
Yeah.
Because
That's really good.
Yeah, there is a sign, one picture of a train, of the station before this Washington hunt, had hunts with an S on the end of it too. So it doesn't matter, nobody's gonna yell at you if you use the wrong,
Because we do that with the cemetery all the time. And
okay? Next one. Okay. Where did you go sliding? We're gonna do skating later, just in a couple minutes. Where did you go sliding? That's a great snow scene. Is that Main Street?
yeah.
That's the old, that's the old shop across from my house.
Yeah.
Up there, the long building,
This one?
correct.
Oh, okay.
What was the shop?
It was the blacksmith shop when Redmond built.
Redmond Garage, okay.
Okay, with that, see, that's across the street.
Yeah. That's across.
That was
the
down, going, oh, we used to slide down on our side, or on the opposite side of the creek, down beside Katie's and Howard's house once in a while, but then we would go up.
Braggers and Bennett's.
Yeah,
I forget the name of the road. New Road? No, not New
Yes.
Road.
Yeah,
Whatever it was that went down from Bennett's place on the corner. That was a nice slide.
Okay.
That was a gravel road, but they didn't do much to it. We could take our runner sleds and have some fun there.
About the hill going up to Bob Smith's.
He never, well, I could tell you the story. but-
Okay, next. Talk about winter. Now, these, we're not sure of the date of this, but these are some gentlemen from Portage. This is a Portage Highway Department or your crew guys. Can you recognize any of the guys?
sure.
This is from the Portage Town Historian's Office.
Might be Vern Brandt. He was the highway superintendent a long time ago.
Yeah, there was a picture. You actually had a picture of him, but I don't have it in here.
Yeah, and Clarence Gibson, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
They were on the board, I don't think that was.
That almost looks like Ken Holly on top on the right. It's a young guy.
What about Claire Geltzer?
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we still haven't gotten a good identification of these guys. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, now, what we're gonna do now is, I think this is wonderful to finish with, but I've got a little assignment for you to think about after we're gonna do a little poem that was written by Lois Clancy. And it's about Hans Pond. And then after that, to close, I'm going to ask you, what was it like to grow up in Hunt? And just think, if you can, how would you say that in a sentence? If a grandchild come to you, what was it like growing up in Hunt? What would you say to them? Now think, and this poem brings out how things have changed. You know, and you represent the era in the 20th century before a lot of these changes came forward. So, you said you read that for us?
Hey, Tom, before you do that, Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
About buildings and hunt?
Yes.
Because David Heard's family lived in the house that we live in, and it was on the corner there in Hunt. And when we came back from Alabama, we bought the house from the church, but the stipulation was that we had to move it. So that's why it's up on the top of the hill. So we moved that big house all the way up. We went through the field, came right out where Ken and Jean Thompson used to live. They took a dozer and a bigger vehicle, pulled it up the hill, and when they got around the corner up on Smith Road, they left us sitting there all the weekend. So I got a picture of my kids sitting on one of the I-beams. Then they went down around the house and they built the foundation up before they moved the house over it. So
About what year was that?
1980.
Okay. Oh, that would be neat.
Yeah, so I didn't see it.
Copy of the
I
picture.
didn't see the house in any of those pictures.
Yeah. That's great. Could we have the lights, please? Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Wonderful poem. Do you want to say anything about the poem itself before we start?
Just that Lois would send us a newsletter every Christmas. And she always had good poems because she had a very good degree in English literature and everything. So, and she would write us a poem every year. But this came along and everybody just could identify with it completely. Now,
Could you, it would be better if he was a little closer for the thing, or you think just sound would be better? Cause you're taping through your.
Yeah, if he could step a little closer, that might be good.
Yeah, right over by there. That's closer to his computer. And that's where the mic recording. Any place in there?
I would just say that this poem was written by my sister Lois, who married Vera's brother Cecil, which is why it's Lois Clancy. But anyway, and we used to have wonderful skating parties. And I pointed out the window that was my bedroom when he showed the picture of our house, the parsonage of the church. I used to put a big loudspeaker in that window on New Year's Eve and play music for us to skate to on the pond, which was just behind the house there. Okay, so this is Lois's poem, Once Upon a Pond. How long now since we skated on Old Hunt's Pond? A pied lot of mismatched coats, scarves, and mittens. No LL Bean gear in those days. We brought shovels and high spirits to the pond. Why shovels? Sad. You never knew the joys of skating on a pond in the snow belt. No oily bureaucrat told us it was safe to skate. Dad brought the most important tool. His hatchet cracked the surface, his rough hand plumbed the thickness. Then, as if to prove his measure, Dad laced his skates and took the ice. Few we knew could skate like Dad. His long overcoat billowed with the wind. He moved, sure and graceful, like an unchained spirit, never losing that fluid glide. He'd suddenly turn and skate, his back to the breeze. Perhaps he did, but I never saw him fall. Those days, most of Hunt turned out to skate, quickly lacing skates so fingers wouldn't freeze. But make them tight or the ankles will wobble. We'd scramble out to clear the ice of snow. How the mind's eyed picture skating wonders. Perfection bowed not only to wind, snow and ice conditions. Yet Mary's and Vera's parallel swans were a sight. And when David broadcast Skaters Waltz or Joyful, Joyful from the church belfry, that's a little poetic license there. Partners would pair off. Sometimes romance warmed the ice, but danger lurked whenever love struck hearts and feet forgot what they were doing. Sometimes the guys would play a little hockey, Sticks and pucks were mostly improvised, but nothing squelched the raucous competition. And Crack the Whip was perfect when the ice was clear. As the line grew long, speed and tension mounted till one let go, then the big sail. When noses pinched and fingers tingled, Mom was calling from the woodpile. Numb with cold, we clumsily tugged off skates and pulled on frozen boots. Mom must have known our limits, for hot cocoa simmered on the back of the cook stove, and the sweet scent of yeasty, dewy bones hung in the air. Ice-coated layers were quickly shed and hung to dry. Frosted mittens hissed steam on hot radiators. The kitchen was transformed into a winter drying room. Quieter now, we'd recount marvels of the day, laughing at our terror of the bottomless black ice with its thrilling rumble and crack. Little did we know what luxury we had on Old Hunts Pond. A pilgrimage a few years back revealed time's work. A chain now blocks access to the pond. Of course, stray tilers need protecting. Once past the chain, though, the pond has lost its playful charm, yielding to years of disuse. The short wooden pier, perfect for lacing up, is a jumbled skeleton of driftwood. Encroaching growths of sedge, rushes, and grass have shrunk the pond's circumference. A sagging inner tube and a derelict rowboat bear sad witness to the joyful past of a lively play place. Where are the children of Hunt today, I mused. In this tiny hamlet, maybe 100 counting all the cats and dogs, the Herds and the Clancys once seemed a majority. Most of them have grown and gone, as have the Davies, Mellenbeckers, Thompsons, and Dewars. How could we forget to leave a witness for new youngsters? The unseemly quiet of Hunt reverberated in my mind. I grieved for children sheltered from simple risks, and for new dangers now that make shelter seem safer. I thought of isolating iPhones, iPads, and iPods, and their creeping chronic necessity into the habits of our lives, the digital marvels that all but our children love to hate. Did I say all? This rant reminded me I hadn't checked my Facebook once in hours. Sure enough, there was a new friend request. Gotta love it. She found me through my love of tofu listed on my profile. Seems way cooler than liking steak. We're going to be best friends, I know. She's vegan. Wonder if she ever skated on a pond. Lost Clancy, 2015. And I'm sorry about my voice.
Okay. What was it like to grow up in Hunt? Who can answer that?
I can say fun.
Fun?
It was fun. Us little kids used to get around, play softball in the backyard, out behind the veterans place there. Go down and still went to the pond.
You knew everybody.
Yeah, that too.
You knew every house.
Yep.
You knew who the people were, and you always looked out for you.
Mm-hmm.
He was always there, you know.
And at Halloween, there's always toilet paper in the tree stop.
And it was always a slower pace, not
You know,
run. It was a slower pace. Everybody, at night, you go fishing, you know, on a sunny, go fishing or play ball, whatever the case may be. It wasn't, we gotta do this, we gotta do that, it was a lot nicer.
In the summer, the neighborhood kids would, in Hunt, would all do things together. You know, we'd play freeze tag, or we'd play softball, or,
hide and seek.
yeah, hide and seek, whatever. We could dream up and even maybe even catch lightning bugs, I'm not sure. But, you know, we just all do it together. And then we go home, and anybody was welcome to come in for dinner at my mom's place. We had such a big family that she
Didn't know there were any extra.
So they just, well, that's how he got to know me. He didn't come to see me to start with. He was a friend of my brother. He just stayed for dinner.
One of the things that Herb didn't bring up, that the parsonage used to be a communication center on Saturday night
Really?
with the CBs.
Oh, yeah, we did do some of that, Phil and I, yeah.
I'd go over with Phil Baker quite often on a Saturday night, and all night long?
Yeah, we'd spend some time. It was, it was part of a defense thing.
Something you had rigged up.
Yeah.
And antennas all over the place.
Yeah, I had the blinds.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was W2LCP.
yeah.
Bill?
This book I have, I thought, like I said, I bought for my mother. It was 1977. It was like a sesquicentennial for the town of Portage. Because Rodney Graham's mother had something to do with it too. Her name was in the book. It showed a lot of pictures of hunks in there. Town boards, highway department. There was a Grant Stockweather that somehow he was like an uppity up in hunks or something. But this,
Do you know what book he's talking about? It's a little pamphlet that they put out this
green cover and there was.
We do have copies of it here.
I have a copy.
Yeah, that's neat.
I have a copy also.
Is there any pictures of the VBS from the Baptist church? Because that was one of our favorite things, because there always was a huge parade at the end, went all the way around the
Well, I haven't seen, you have
So I
some?
think I might have some from Wellmouth.
Okay, we have some from, there's a few from Nunda. There's the one that's on the cover of our calendar is from the Dalton Methodist Church. And then Tom Burt brought a picture. There used to be a guy who would come around to the vacation Bible schools with a little train. And do you remember seeing that?
Yeah, it was a bus that he kind of refurbished into
Yeah,
like
and
a
it looked
train.
like a little choo-choo train.
Right.
So that was, well, it would be what, in the late 60s, 70s if it was?
Yeah, in the early 70s.
Well, I think of that blacksmith place that Mellenbeckers lived across the road. And it wasn't as big as in the picture there. It was small, maybe some of it knocked down. But he had a buggy and he had a smaller horse, not a big horse, a smaller horse. And I can remember that we would all have our banners we were carrying, we're Christian soldiers, and we would sing and go around. It was the greatest fun.
Oh, that would be wonderful to have a picture of the parade.
Cecil played his harmonica.
That train that you keep talking about, I almost think when I was working down to the prison, we'd come down Ridge Road, and I think it was the second crossroad, but there was a little house there, had a little bus made into a train. It was
Well,
black.
that must have been it.
Could be.
I remember going by that and seeing that.
Well, anything else? Now, again, it's been wonderful. I thank you so much for sharing your memories with us, so that people in the future will be able to enjoy them too. Okay? And if you have other memories you'd like to share with us, or photos, or memorabilia, we're always open for that, because even though it says Nunda Historical Societies, Nunda and Portage, and we kind of look over Portageville and Tuscarora, we're reaching out. We'll do more of these. So we're going to be doing Oakland and July, and I think our On the Farm is in August, if I remember right. So, yeah, right?
I just wonder how many people remember the one-lane underpass on Bailey Road.
Yeah, you blow
You had to blow your horn before you went into it. If you came into it, you had to make a sharp right,
that was
you wouldn't make a sharp left.
that was the railroad. That was the section that went to Belfast.
No.
Oh, God, it's Mugville?
Yeah.
Is that still there?
Still wants, right next to where Clint and Shirley, Ken and Sharon live.
That's another one.
That's, yeah. Used to be an underpass right there.
And then there's still one.
I'm trying to remember who it was, a husband and wife crashed in there. Oh, jeez. They got each other.
Thank you very much for coming. And we do have some cookies and some refreshment. You're welcome to look around there. I want to talk to you. I want to.
Such a nice presentation.
Thank you. I didn't ask if there was any up there from anybody. Hi. Oh, Cindy's in there. Is there anyone on the Zoom that would like to share?
I would, Tom, I would.
Do you know Ada Gate?
Hi, everybody. I'm in California, but I just want to tell you how much I have loved this. I am so excited by what you do. I've served on a lot of charities over many, many years, and I think your charity is the most vibrant, exciting, passionate, involved, and you show up. And I really, really am honored to be here, and I just love you all. Thank you for letting me join you.
Well, thank you, Ada. Ada's with Edgerly.
I'm not saying this.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. There's cookies there, and thanks for coming.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody.
So.